And we are live. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for speaking. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So the topic for today is Dataweave libraries. So Dataweave is like we all know it is a coding language that we use in MuleSoft, right? So MuleSoft has announced this new feature almost on March end, most probably 30th March. So what it was basically the Dataweave libraries using VS Code. So what we do is we just create a combined library as in a combination of our module files and our mapping files as well as our payloads, everything all together, and we just use that library. We just import that directly into our endpoint studio and we directly use that. So basically we reuse that data weave code in our future references. So a brief intro about what Dataweave libraries is. As I just told you, it is a reusable package of Dataweave module mapping files as well as resource files. So resource files are basically our payloads. We have some variables and everything, right, that we use in our endpoint studio, right? Payload, where's everything. So that basically everything comes under our resource files. And there is two different concepts here: module files and mapping files. So just to give it a difference, this is the basic definition that we had in a MuleSoft side. Basically, it defines functions, variables, namespaces. They cannot have output directives, body expressions. It is just the bookish language. To make it a little easier, I'll give you an example. For example, in DataWeave, we have DW core, right? The library. So that library, that DW core, you can consider it as a module. So it has some different functions inside it. For example, join by, group by, every function, right? So we have already the definition of that function defined somewhere, right? We can call it as a namespace or anything, right? So where it is actually defined, that is our module file, right? And where we use it, so that is our mapping file. For example, if I want join by, right? So I can just simply use that join by, right? Because it is already defined somewhere else. So that definition is known as module, and where we are using it, that is our mapping file. So it is just the normal understanding. Once I'll present you the demo, I'll make it more clear about what is module and what is mapping files. So to develop all this, to develop module files, to develop mapping files and everything, so we use Visual Studio Code here. So Visual Studio Code, what we do is we can create, preview, test, everything we can do in that workspace itself. Nothing needs to be done on our platform or on our studio. So Dataweave libraries, as I told you, it was announced on March 30th, sorry. And the blog and link are this. Like I would also just give all these links in the chat box also. And also Visual Studio Code, just some advantages over it. So Visual Studio Code, it is a kind of a full development life cycle. That means from the end to the start, like from start to end, everything we can do in Visual Studio Code only. Start by designing and then testing and then debugging and then sharing. Sharing as in to publish that to our exchange. Everything is done from Visual Studio Code only. We doesn't require any other software for that. So advantages, auto completion. Auto completion basically, for example, if anyone would have used Eclipse or NetBeans or anything. So whenever we start writing a function name or anything, right? So it already gives us what full name it is, right? So that is auto completion. Preview output. So preview output is, it is like a live console. So whenever you're making some changes, you can just directly view it on that live console. And it is inline documentation. When we publish it to the exchange, right? So we need some documentation over there. So like what that function does, what are the parameters it accepts and everything. So Visual Studio Code has automatic function for that, like a feature. I'll just show you guys in the demo. Type checking, basically what it accepts and what you are giving, like that. Like if it is a string, it requires a string, else it will give you an error. A quick fix. Quick fix is again a kind of a error, you can say. Basically not a bug, but a small error. So quick fix is like, for example, it is fine, but it has some different solution, right? So Visual Studio Code gives you as an option directly there. And another one is refactoring. refactoring by the name, it says basically input and output would remain same. Some internally changes that need to be done that could be easily done without affecting our whole code. And the last one is the navigation, basically navigation between the module files, mapping files, everything. It is kind of very easy here. So this is about the Visual Studio Code basics. And if we look deep dive into it, so we have three different functions for that. The one is the design, test, and maintenance of our library. So all these things are done in the Visual Studio Code itself, right? So that is basically whatever we are designing, testing, and debugging and everything that is done in Visual Studio Code. And for that, we use a plugin, Visual Studio Code plugin, which I'll show you like from where you guys can install that. And the second one is to publish. To publish, we can directly use our Maven, right? So the one that we use in our Anypoint Studio, right? We directly use that Indian clean deploy command like that. The same ways it goes up here. So Maven, how it works is it basically like compiles everything. It tests all your scenarios that you have given there. It will generate the documents. It will deploy your code as well as your documents. So this is the link for that, the original link that MuleSoft provided. And the last is to reuse that library, right? Suppose it is present in our Anypoint platform itself, right? In our Exchange. So how do we use that, right? In our project code. So it is simply the dependency snippets that we add in our POM files. So just like another dependency snippet, we'll just add this in our POM file. So this is all like a basic intro. It is more of a demo, less of a this text document. So if you guys have any doubts for now, you can ask, or let's just proceed to demo then. Shall I proceed? Like if there is no doubt over this?
I guess we can go ahead. There are no questions as such now.
Okay, fine. Okay. So this is how our Visual Studio Code looks. You can just directly download it from Google only, just directly VS Code. So this is how Visual Studio Code looks like, a basic, the opening, right? So we have all these basic panels that we have: file, edit, selection, view, everything that is 99% same in every IDE. And these are some tabs. This is the search tab, right? If I include a Git repository here, everything like an Explorer would be displayed in here. This is basically a source controller, basically like clone the repository and everything. It comes up here. This is to run and debug our module files as well as our mapping files, whatever. This is the extension, right? So if you guys would have been using it for the first time, so this extension won't be available in your case. So what you just do it, you can just simply write Dataweave here. You will get this option, Dataweave 2.0 beta version. So this is the extension that MuleSoft has provided, which supports like everything related to database in Visual Studio. So just click on that and you will get the option to install, right? So you can just simply install, like for example, if this is something is not installed, right? So I can just simply, I have already disabled that, but if I need to install, it would come up like, I'm sorry, one second. Yeah. So this option would come in your case. You can just directly install it from there. Okay. So this is the basic structure. Now moving on to the start of this. So the first thing is the command palette. Okay. So command palette is from where you will be starting it, right? The code structure and everything. So you can directly navigate to view command palette, or the shortcut for the same is Control Shift P, right? So this will open this command palette for you. Okay. Here you will see the option of Dataweave, create new library project. So we are creating Dataweave library. So this is the option that you guys need to click. Okay. Now it will ask some of the details, like organization ID, artifact ID, version, and everything. Similar, the same steps that we do for in our studio also, right? So the organization ID, I have already kept that stored. You guys can take from the access manager of your endpoint platform. Just click enter, or just to give it a brief, from the access management, you'll have your organization, and therein you can just simply copy your organization ID. So yeah, this is the organization ID. The artifact ID, let's give example test. Let's give example only. Version is 1. Project name, example project, let's keep same. This is the path. I'll do enter. So now it will ask, do you want to open a new project in the new window or not? So basically, you can do yes or no depending. Since I don't have any other project, so I'll just do no, so that it will open in the same window. Else, if you have multiple projects open, you can just simply click yes, so that a new window gets open for it. Let it just one second. I guess I have opened it with the same name. I'll just create a new one. 1 second. New window. And I'll close this one. Yeah. Now this is how it looks when you started a new project. You can see the Explorer. You have got these options. I'll just give it a brief of the folder structure, how it is displayed over here. You can see we have SRC as a main folder. Inside that, we have two different folders, main and test. Okay. So main folder again have two folders, DW resources, and test again have the same structure. So in main file, what we have all our mapping files and all our module files, right? That we need in our project. Okay, everything would come inside this main, right? In main DW. And in test file, what we have the unit test for the mapping files, module files, or we have some scenarios of testing. Okay, everything comes in this test. And resources, we basically have our input payloads for testing. Basically, we need some input payloads to test our scenarios and everything, right? So that everything come inside the test. And POM is the similar one that we use in our studio, nothing different here, it is same. So moving to our module file, I'll just give it a heads up like how it works. Let's just change it to any function. Okay, fine. Let's do for palindrome. Okay, fine. So for example, we have a palindrome function, right? I need to create one reusable function palindrome so that whenever someone wants to check if the string is a palindrome or not, right? Any string. So in that case, he can directly use my library. Okay, this is my motive for now. So this function palindrome, it takes some input. Let's take name. Okay, and it will just check if a string is a palindrome or not. So basically a reverse, right? If name equals to 0 to, yeah, let's do, no, not 0, it would be -1 to 0. We are navigating it backwards as a string. So if that is true, in that case, I'll just print it is a palindrome. Else I'll give not a palindrome. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Function. I think this will work fine. Okay, this is the basic palindrome, a very small function for that, and this is the function, right? And now I have to test, right, whether it is working or not, what mapping we have and everything, right? So in the test mapping, we can just simply give the mapping. I'll just copy the function name. So in mapping, firstly, I'll import this function, right? And I'll call this function. And in the function call, now I have to give a string, right? So either I can give it directly. Let's do, that is not a palindrome. So I'll just do, okay. So the feature here, the first feature here is this preview, right? That I told you, kind of a live console, right? So whenever, oh, what is this? Okay, fine. Yeah. So it will give like directly, right? If we have any palindrome, what we have is a palindrome. Right. That is a palindrome. Okay, not okay, fine. This is happening because of the case. I'll just do it. This is not case sensitive. I'll do both as upper. Yeah. See, it is giving you palindrome. It is a live console. So whatever changes you make in here, everything would be displayed to you there, right? So this is if I have hard coded, right? And what if I don't want to hard code? So I want a user to give this name in like from a payload, right? So I'll do that payload.name. There is this option you will see, define sample data, right? Just click it over there and you need a payload, right? You can declare anything, vars or anything, right? So I've just did that payload.json. Okay. Here I have given name since I want a name. Let's keep hello world itself. Payload.name. It is right, but let me give again. Okay, it is working fine, but I don't know. Yeah, error is gone now. Okay, so this is how it is working. So whatever name we want, we can just simply keep it here only if we want to check a palindrome or not. So this is some a basic intro of it, the module file and mapping file. So difference, I could just simply explain you right in here. So check palindrome is the module where we have the actual definition of the function, right? This is my actual definition of my function, right? Mapping is where we are using that function in our code, right? So that is the mapping function. Example, the map function that we have in Dataweave, right? It has the definition somewhere in the libraries in our namespaces, but we use in our, in our basic transformations and everything. So this is mapping and that is module. Okay. Now moving on to some different, we can say features of this Visual Studio Code. This was the basic implementation, a very basic. It can go up to like whatever is a requirement. We can have n number of modules. We can have n number of mappings. So everything can be there in a single library too. So the first function, like the feature of this module is this generate Dataweave documentation. I told you this in a advantages also. It has a feature of creating the documentations. So when you'll click in here, you'll automatically get this stuff, right? So it is what it is basically the intro of whatever you want. You guys can change it. I'm not changing a lot here. I'll just keep it same. I'll just do it would be a string. And name is what? Name is a string on which palindrome function. Right? Example basically the inputs and outputs on what input, what output you will get. Input, if a user inputs it, it would be similar to this only. So I'll just use this as an input line. And output, he'll get what we are getting in our preview output. Oh, I'm sorry. Input user will give this, not that. Really sorry. This is basically the sample input output that user can, while checking your library, he can see, okay, so for this output, we are getting this like that. So you can also give that, any number of times you want it. So I've just kept it very simple as a documentation. So this is how the documentation looks. You can change according to your functions, like description and everything you can change. So this is how my documentation looks for now. And this is the basic the adding resources and everything. So the second important point after designing, so we have done two steps here, right? Design and develop. So now comes after the, if we see the software development lifecycle, right? After this, we have testing, we have debugging, right? So testing basically the test scenarios, and debugging is running and debugging our code, right? So I'll show you how we debug the code here, like how we run or debug, we can say. Okay, fine. I have just kept the breakpoint in my function name only. So you can see this run mapping. I'll just click run mapping here. It will directly run. Okay, if I don't put this breakpoint, so it will behave like a run itself, right? So for now, I have put the breakpoint, so it will debug my code and it will stop at this point. This is like same we use in like SQL Server and everything, variables, watch, and the console are same. This is the palette to move. So this is to continue. This is to step over. Step over is like if you don't want to do this step, you want to directly move into next. This is step into. Step into means to go more further deep dive into that function. So in that case, we can do step into, and this is step out. So we just directly run out of that function. So for now, I'll show you by step in. So I'll step into, we have just entered in a module file. Okay, this is the name that we got. This is the check palindrome function. Like if you want, I can just, yeah, it accepts name. Okay, further, it has done upper of the name. Then again, it has reversed. It has done upper of that name. Now it will compare both. And it has given the result, not a palindrome, right? And we have come directly in here and it will give you the output. That is not a palindrome. So this is how debugging works here. And if you don't want to debug, you want to simply run, you can directly do run mapping and it will directly run, just it will directly give you an output without any breakpoints, nothing. See, it didn't stop in anywhere and it just simply gave me my output, not a palindrome. So this was about how we debug that. Okay, so the next comes the test, basically the test scenarios. Okay, so for test scenarios, we have we can create test scenarios for module file as well as our mapping file, right? So we can have two different scenarios, we can say. So for the module file, you'll again see this tab, which is add unit test, right? I'll just simply click on that. You'll see something automatically generated. So what this test does, it checks basically the type. Okay, so check palindrome will accept string. This is my requirement. We can change it according to the whatever requirement we have. And it should be a string itself, right? Not a palindrome, palindrome. Both are returning as a string. So I'll do must be. We have all these. See, this was I was talking about. It automatically gives us the suggestions, right? See, I just wrote this and I'll just do an enter. It has automatically completed my function. Okay, so my module function check palindrome describes it should do like check palindrome must be a string. Okay, this is for my module test and you can see it came directly inside this test. Okay, not in my main, because end user doesn't want to know this test and everything. End user needs only the module files. Okay, again for my mapping, if I want to create, you can see this second option here, create mapping test. Just directly click. It will give you an option or name. I'll keep same. You guys can change. Yeah. 1 second. So my mapping test. Firstly, I'll explain how it works. Basically, this test, what it does is based on your previous runs, right? We would have definitely ran something before, before creating a test. So what it did is it automatically like saved the input and output from a previous run, and it is just comparing that, like is that input equal to the output based on your code. If yes, then it will just simply make it a success. See, new test scenario, we have this input we gave this in the previous run, so it has just automatically saved that, and output is this, so it is comparing both. Okay, so this is like we have it as an input and the output. So this is all about the testing. So our development cycle is done till design, develop, sorry, not deploy, really sorry, a test, debug. We have done everything. And also we need to check if our testing scenarios are working fine or not. No test cases for this input. 1 second. Is it not saved? My mapping test. 1 second. I'm not sure why it is not showing, because I already have everything installed. Let me just restart it. Okay, is it saved? Yeah, it is. It is also saved. Run and debug, no. Let me just run it once again, maybe it works. Right now, see, it is not coming in here. I guess I need to restart my Visual Studio, but you'll just get all these testing here, and there only you'll have this run button. Just click on this and it will just run your test scenarios. I'm not sure why projects are imported into workspace. Let me just restart it, maybe. I'm not sure what is happening here because, oh, okay. It is still indexing. It is taking some time. My module test created. This is the test scenario for that. I'll just run it. In debug console, we can directly see what it is giving. See, it is saying like the test is passed. This is how basically the testing works of our different scenarios. And this is our module file. I will save it and close it. I close this too. Okay, so basically everything till now it is covered in here. All the development life, how we work from designing to testing, everything. Now we have to move to the next step, that is to publish it into the Anypoint Exchange and to use that directly into our studio. So till now, if you guys have any like doubt or anything related to Visual Studio Code, you can ask, or then after this we'll move to platform and studio things. You can write it on a chat, or you can just unmute yourselves and you can ask. I think it is clear to everyone. So fine. So this everything till here is done from testing and everything. All these points, everything is covered. So I'll now move to how we deploy it to our Anypoint platform exchange. Okay. So this is our Anypoint platform, right? Organization ID we have. So before deploying it to the platform, we need to do some changes in our settings.xml, right? This is my user. In .m2, we have this settings. I'll just edit with Notepad++. And here in the repository, I have this. I have just created this test for this particular thing. So I've just created that in the m2 settings.xml. You guys can change in your settings.xml. I have already done that setting so that I don't have to show you this step again. So this is already done in my m2 folder settings.xml. You can do in yours. The second step over here is we have to make some changes to our POM file. Depending, okay. So first thing is group ID. It is already being replaced because initially when we got that option of organization ID, I automatically replaced that. If you guys didn't did that time, so now you can do it here. These all would remain same. Properties would remain same. Dependencies, everything would remain same until unless you don't need anything else. Here you will get the option of this distribution management, right? So distribution management, it just uncomment this section. Okay, and this organization ID will replace with our organization ID. Similarly, we have this repository. It is like option. It is not as such required, but I just do it. Okay, so we have to just replace all these functions and everything remains same. Never. Let me just remove that. I added disable. And install. We don't require this. Yeah, now it's fine. It was making some issues in that now. Okay, fine. So these are the changes that we need to do in our pom.file, that is distribution management. Just uncomment that and replace the organization ID with your organization ID. Now, the same step, what we do in our Anypoint Studio to publish our assets, the same ways we'll be doing it here. So just in the command palette, we'll have to just simply write nvn clean deploy, or if you want to do directly on the studio itself, sorry, in the Visual Studio Code, in the terminal, just simply write the statement that is mvn clean, I'm sorry, not statement, command, mvn clean deploy. So it will deploy my a build was modified. Do you want to synchronize Java? Okay. Okay. I'll show you the exchange of this right now. We doesn't have anything. All right. The assets is nothing because I just created this new. This process takes some time, like approximately a minute. Okay, build is success. It would be there in my assets. Yeah, it is there. You can see all this, the documentation is same. My modules is here. It is having everything. I just did the check palindrome function. I gave it as name string, a string on which you need to check palindrome function. This is the input and this is the output. So the publishing to anypoint exchange, this is the simple step. The last step is just to reuse that. Okay, so we have this dependency snippet. Just copy this snippet. Okay, copy. Okay, in anypoint platform, sorry, studio, I have just created a test demo initially only. I have done nothing, just kept a transform and a listener setup. Okay, in the form, in dependency, we just have to add this dependency. That's it. Okay, so we did that. In project libraries, you can see it is coming as a jar file. It has included, it is my module file. Everything is there. I didn't did much in platform. So we can just simply we can use it here. It is simple import start from, and my name is my module. Okay, I'll just import and I have to check palindrome. So the function name I'll just take from the mapping file because it would be same only. Okay. Okay, I did that. I'll run. And in this, I have already kept this name, and this is the path for the configuration of the listener. Okay, so it is deployed. I'll just run it here. Okay, it is giving not a palindrome, right? This was our function basically. So we have reused that palindrome function directly over here. So this is all about Dataweave libraries and everything that is required for that for you guys to understand. Basically the complete life cycle, how to reuse that, how to publish that, everything is covered in here. So this is about the demo. If you guys have anything else, any doubts or anything, you can just simply ask. So this is all.
Guys, any questions? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, just one question. Are there any other ways of publishing Dataweave libraries?
Uh, See, the initial ways that MuleSoft also suggested in their blog, it was Maven only. So
Okay.
they didn't suggested anything else, but we can work around if there is something. But on their documents, like on their published documents, they just suggested to use Maven only.
And for creating it, we can use only VS Code or
Yeah, for now it is only VS Code they have
okay.
supported.
Okay. Thanks.
Is somebody speaking because I hear a lot of static? When I hear voices,
Yes.
it has a lot of static.
Robotic voice. Shiva.
You are audible, but it has a lot of static, so it's very difficult to figure out what you're saying.
It's kind a lot of kind of robotic voice type of thing. Can't understand.
You can type in your question. There is anything. I think we lost Vinay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I guess we are good. Masan, we can uh, go ahead and start with the quiz. And
Oh.
if anybody has any questions, meanwhile, they can feel free to ask.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. So for the quiz, this is the code. I'll just share the link to one side. Copy link. You guys can directly just access this link and join.
We'll give a quick more minute for rest of the people to join.
Yeah.
Because you can see 15 people up there.
There are some questions in the chat if you would like to answer.
Yes.
There are some different cool modules we have on Exchange. Cool modules, can you just, I didn't got that different cool modules.
So, see, I mean, if you're looking for something cool, I guess people will start sharing that this feature has come recently, and you will see these cool modules coming into Exchange with time. And if you feel there is something which you can create and publish to Exchange, feel free to do it for your organization, and maybe later that will become part of MuleSoft Exchange from the org Exchange.
Yeah,
I guess we
also
can
like
start
in
with-
the projects also.
Sorry, Rosen, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying like in projects also. So sometimes we have some reusable code also, right? So we can just
Correct.
publish that into our like client any
Yeah, that is
point,
the
and
idea
then
that
we can just
first,
direct.
yes. First you need to do it for your organization, and then maybe later, if there is enough
Exactly.
material available, it will become part of Microsoft Exchange.
Right, right.
All right, I guess we can start the
Okay,
quiz.
so yeah, okay, fine. So we have 5 questions, and you guys have 20 seconds to answer each question. And if